Yes. Happy Friday, my Friday friends. It's practically the weekend. I can already see Kat's mascara running down her face as she FaceTimes me sobbing from a Brooklyn drunk tank. Speaking of children, as you know, I hate them. Small, gross, touchy, sticky, smelly, and stupid. And from what I've heard, constantly in need of food, water, and shelter. They're like pets, but with tuition. Plus, they take up all the booster seats whenever I go to a restaurant. So we've established children are dumb. But should we be making them dumber? That seems, well, really dumb. And the New York Times agrees in a piece that now finally trashes extended school shutdowns. When COVID erupted, schools in every state shut down quicker than Disneyland after a death on the teacups. It happened. You don't remember it. Remote instruction took over, but then districts started making their own choices about opening up. Some resumed in person, others stayed closed. Meanwhile, I completely shut down my wrestling class I ran in the attic. Remote learning, the bed. According to research I had my assistant read out loud while I was getting a pedicure, students who attended in-person school for nearly all of 2020 and 2021 lost 20% of the typical school year's math learning. Lucky for them from remote learning, but others from families coping with illness and other stuff. But students who stayed home most of that time fared way worse, losing roughly 50% of math learning during that 2-year window. Roughly 50%. And if my high school algebra holds up, it's at least a third. Yourself.
I never am.
Sadly, school closures really hammered low-income students. Black Latino students fell far behind, creating a gap in educational inequality that already existed and now might last for years. It's a gap that administrators can't blame on racism, although, they'll try. We may not know the consequences of this for years, when the jerks responsible have comfortably retired on their massive pensions. And hopefully by then I will have left the country with Clive Owen to create that apple farm we've been talking about. I want to call it, How Do You Like Them Apples? He keeps calling the cops. Clive, don't. So who does the Times blame? Now this is amazing. Are you sitting down? Of course you are. Who watches TV standing up in their home? Well, they show that schools with lots of poor students were more likely to go remote and tended to be run by Democrats, were more likely to have unionized teachers whose unions lobbied the Times to admit this. Their autocorrect kept changing teachers' union to sexist white men, just out of habit. But we knew this. Every time we said it, however, they crapped on us like they were Amber Heard at the Macy's Linens department. It's obvious. Low-income students do worse on remote because their home may not be as conducive to actual learning as richer families. It's hard for a 14-year-old to do her homework while she's cooking eggs for her younger siblings because mom already left for work. So the vulnerable got screwed once again by the people who claim to be their saviors. This official said they were doing so to protect children, and especially the most vulnerable children. The effect, however, was often the opposite. So are you surprised? I'm not. I guess the silver lining is that we learned something from the pandemic that we can use next time one hits, which starts between now and Tuesday. And worse, our kids will be too dumb to remember what to do. Twitter is unsettling for many black users. Rolling Stone. Elon Musk previews what he'll do with Twitter, serves up his employees for far-right's racist abuse. LA Times. With Elon Musk in charge, it's the beginning of the end for black Twitter. And there's this one from Highlights. Goofus loves Elon. Gallant, not so much. Cat. And then there's the New York Times, which tweeted Elon Musk grew up in elite white communities in South Africa, detached from apartheid's atrocities and surrounded by anti-black propaganda. But if you up to racist children, plus he fled from South Africa when he was 17, yes, at least Elon left his all-white community. How many times readers can say the same thing? Even Elon's mother stepped in, tweeting, in South Africa, if you publicly oppose apartheid, you went to jail. In Russia, if you publicly oppose the war, you go to jail. New York Times, are you going to blame children for decisions made by governments? Way to go, Mom. Elon better